Happy Taco Tuesday, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hi, I'm Tori. Nice to meet you. For those of you guys that are following me on my Instagram, which is at @mygodmoments if you aren't following already, I had mentioned that I had just finished the book of Acts recently, and so I thought it was a great time to do another 3 things to learn from video. I gotta say, there are so many things that you can take away from the book of Acts, and it really is jam-packed with so many incredible stories to pull from, especially to look at as an example of what it means to be Christian and what it means to live your life on mission. But of course, I will condense it as best I can. And if anything, this video is really more of a general surface overview and preview for you if you are going to read the book of Acts yourself, or if you just want a refresher on what the book of Acts is all about. So the book of Acts is mostly following around a man named Paul, who was formerly known as Saul, and God's mission that God had laid out for Paul to follow. This book involves imprisonment, shipwrecks, stoning, persecution, and miracles, and many examples of what it really means to be a faithful disciple of Jesus. This book has made an incredible impact in my life as I am going into ministry, but of course it is still so applicable to your life even if you're not going into ministry, because it definitely encourages you to go out and share the word and not be so afraid of outreach. So without further ado, let's hop right into the 3 things that you can learn. So the first thing that you guys can take away from the book of Acts is that nothing can keep you away from God's mission for your life. Before Paul became Paul the missionary, he was known as a man named Saul, who was known as a persecutor, and in the most simple terms possible, was kind of responsible for a lot of Christians who ended up in prison and Christians that ended up dying. But in the book of Acts, God chooses Saul. He lets Saul know that, Saul, you are my servant, whether you like it or not. And God totally changes Saul's life by giving him a new identity and putting Saul, who then becomes Paul, on a mission to advance Christ's kingdom. So essentially, God was able to use somebody that was persecuting Christians, that was working against Christians, to then turn his life around in a full 180 and bring in more Christians. And I think that's incredible. It's definitely encouraging because it really goes to show that God has a plan for all of us and that there is nothing that we could do to permanently mess it up. God always has a purpose for you, and I think this is definitely demonstrated in Saul's life. And Saul, a part of that was his new identity, which is point number 2, that when we have God in our lives, we receive a new identity. This idea of new identity is so evident in Paul's life as you continue to see him go on mission after he becomes the person of Paul and he's no longer called Saul anymore. And it also shows in the people that he's preaching to, more specifically the group called the Gentiles. At this time in the Bible, there was a huge issue between Jews and Gentiles and who's actually Christian and who's not. And part of Paul's mission was to share the good news that it doesn't matter where you came from or who you are or what you look like or what you've done, that there is a place in God's kingdom for you. And I think this is great because it really aligns with this idea of new identity. That, yeah, those things in the outside world might separate us. Circumstances and cultural backgrounds and differences might separate us, but with God, we are all united. With God, he gives us a new identity. Finally, point number 3 is that being a Christian is bold. I hear very often that the Christian life is boring, or it's really safe, or that we're afraid of danger, or that we're setting up all these rules and it's really restricting people from living their life. But I completely beg to differ when you read about what these missionaries had to do to share the word of God. There were several moments where Paul had to have a faith that was bold in order to fulfill his mission. Some examples of Paul doing this with the other disciples is when he was worshiping and praying inside of his jail cell, or when he appeals to Caesar, or when he goes to the temple courts to debate and talk to high priests about what God has told him, or even sharing his testimony before a panel of religious judges. The book of Acts really goes to show that the Christian life is bold, it's exciting, and it's full of purpose. It changes lives, it brings hope, and brings joy even in the hardest of circumstances. I believe this book was a great example of what it truly means to be a Christian, what it means to be the hands and feet of Jesus, what it means to be a disciple, in that we have something truly beautiful. We have the Word of God, and we have the good news that people are loved. And I think that we should take some notes from the book of Acts and Paul's posture towards sharing the Word, and that he was excited to do so in our lives today, whether you're going into ministry or not. I really think we should be as motivated as Paul was in Acts to share the good word, because he was changing lives. And truthfully, we shouldn't let anything get in our way or discourage us from doing so. So with that, you guys, that's all I have for today, but I hope this encouraged you and it motivated you. And I also hope that you give the book of Acts a try, and that you enjoy it just as much as I did, because there is just so much to gain from it. If you guys want to see more content, please subscribe to my channel. I post Christian-related content every Taco Tuesday. And if you want to see more of my personal walk with the Lord, or you need more Jesus in your feed, go follow me on my Instagram at mygodmoments. I hope you all have an amazing week, and I will see you all next Tuesday. Bye!